All right, cool, thank you. So this is about Fedora containers. I haven't attended these Fedora meetings for a few sessions, so I'd like to know what the status of Fedora moving on to where do we stand? So I know what the status of the RPM build specifically is, as I attend those meetings, but I'd be interested in knowing where do we stand when it comes to containers themselves.
Yeah.
So
I can give what I know. I think that the TLDR answer is there's not a cohesive plan at the moment for how that works, or how that will work. Today, what are the Fedora container images? There's the base image that lots of people use. There's a number of software collections layered images that look kind of like the UBI 9, 8, and 9 collection layered collection images. The base image is built in Pungi today as a part of the compose process and is not updated very frequently. When I'd asked, this was back in November, I think, around about building that in Konflux, I think there was some hesitance from the Fedora infrastructure and RelEng team. They said, let's get other stuff building there first, and then we'll talk about the base image once we see it working well for other things. The software collections images today, hi Pavel, welcome, are built in GitHub, in a GitHub action, in the SCL org GitHub organization, and they have a token with rights to push directly to the Quay repository where you can pull them today. Those I think are a good fit. Those I think are a good fit for moving to Fedora Konflux. There's opportunity to move them, but it's a matter of reaching out to one of the maintainers in software collections org to just make that migration happen. And that I think hasn't happened, or I'm not aware of conversation to make that move happen. The one other thing out there is Fedora boot C, which is a container, but it's a pretty special container, and it is actively being migrated to Fedora Konflux, and I think it's being built there now, the production edition of it. If it's not being used for the production releases of Fedora boot C, I think it will be soon. They've got the build and test and release flow, I think, wired up in Fedora. And that's what I know.
thank you. I got a mediated answer that was kind of along the lines like, yeah, we would like to eventually do that, but there is no clear plan laid out yet. So thank you for explaining that. I only mention this, and it brings me to the other point on the agenda that I have, is because this popped up as a topic on the community outreach meeting last week, and that was we got a response from the open source office team at Red Hat with suggestions on how to, gain more exposure. One of the very good suggestions were get in touch with the Fedora community and work on what would be suitable for publishing on either the community blog for developers or Fedora magazine. And that kind of topic is something that is kind of bridging these two worlds, right? Like building a community versus, Fedora being migrated onto Konflux, so we could actually figure out how we can join the effort and ideally post some either progress or some outcomes of this.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think there's so the opportunity that what are they called? The scenarios or whatever, the categories of containers I mentioned, we could chase each of those to try to do. We could probably get something writable about Fedora boot C now because it's functional. SCL org's got a long way to go, and the base image does too. There's one other category I forgot to mention, which is Fedora infrastructure's own images, the images that they build to deploy the other services that run under fedoraproject.org in various places. There's been some effort to get those building in Fedora Konflux, and I'm not aware of the status, but that could be another opportunity for a blog post on some work in progress.
So I was mostly interested if it all makes sense, to join both to join these efforts and as well to see if any effort has already been done that I'm not aware of, like anyone already posting to Fedora magazine about the Konflux adoption / migration.
Let's maybe a good next step could be to ping in the Matrix channel and ask around some of the other Fedora community members if they are aware of any posting or plans for posting going on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. If that's those 2 points, I have one to add. It's the same one that Yiftach mentioned just before we started recording, which is that I found the other day that our UI, the deployments of our UI are broken in the Fedora instance ever since we rebased upstream off of Keycloak and onto Dex and the OAuth 2 proxy. There's a process that's propagating new commits from upstream Konflux to Fedora Konflux, which we then accept and merge. But then Argo has failed to deploy them for some many months because it can't reconcile a Keycloak config in the Fedora instance with what's expected from upstream, which is not a Keycloak config. And I didn't even realize it was broken until I went to go to try to change something else and realized I couldn't get anything to build for the UI. So Yiftach was telling me in Slack this morning that it's going to take some time to fix, right? Yeah, Yiftach, it's not a thing we can just fix right away.
I only mention it because I don't have the complete know-how to do it on top of my head, right? So I had a call this morning with Gal, and I mentioned it to him, and he explained to me more or less what needs to be done. There's an existing epic for that already that was created beforehand. I guess nobody got to actually do it. I'll start working on it.
Thank you. I guess if nothing else on that, Tomasz, Pavel, do you guys have anything to share on the RPM build front?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the Keycloak issues you mentioned relate to my issues, but I struggle to authenticate against the Fedora Konflux.
Hey, Pavel, sorry, your audio is really low. Can you adjust your mic?
Sure. Okay, I'm going to speak a little louder than. Is the problem I have related to the Keycloak issues that you mentioned now, that I'm not able to, I think, authorize against the projects that I should be? I can authenticate using the way that somebody on the metrics helped me, but I cannot authorize. At least it seems to, based on the message that OC command is giving me. So I'm curious if it is related. I have opened the merge request for the deployment, so I could try to use, the email versus Fedora username problem. So I can add both maybe and experiment, and we'll see. Is it okay if I merge such merge request myself, or is there some policy reviews, or I don't know?
We should have a policy for review, but the practice has been that I've been proposing merge requests and merging them to the tennis config and infra deployments repo, in part because we just don't have enough time to attend to each other's changes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a look at it after this and give a review, which is the right way to do it. And then we'll go from there. If in the future you need to merge something and you can't get anyone's attention, I think it's okay to do until let's check in about that again in the future. How about that? It's not, let's say it's not the way we want to work, but it's the way that it currently works.
Yeah. What I did not get is there some kind of GitOps so the change gets immediately deployed when I merge it, or yeah? So if I break something, I can revert and things should get repaired. Mm-hmm.
It's Argo CD. If you look in the README of the repo, there's a link to an Argo CD instance, which you should have access to go to. And there you can see the status of, I'm trying to apply your change from Git and failing, or I I've done it or I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to maybe risk sometimes when nobody is able to review. Okay, cool. So I'll see. But do you think it's related to the key cloak? Considering it is related to key cloak problems, how quickly do you think anyone will be able to fix it, or is there any at our?
I need to explain it, I think, because for nobody knows on this one that I discovered the key cloak. I discovered the upstream Fedora mismatch while trying to look into your issue, Pavel. And what I had done before that, a couple weeks earlier, is I changed the OAuth config on our cluster to begin using the user's nickname, their fast username, instead of their email as their user identity, which I expected to work. But still, when I log in, I'm still my email address, both in the UI and in the CLI. And I can't figure out why. It has something to do with Keycloak. I'm not a Keycloak expert. I think Keycloak is remembering my identity and representing that to the cluster, but I don't know. But that change had enough of an effect that when you log in via the web UI, going through that proxy, you are your email address. But when you log in via the API, which doesn't go through our Nginx proxy, you are your username. And I also can't explain that. So we can dig in and debug why this is the case in Keycloak. But if Keycloak is going to be ejected and replaced with another system, we might as well get over that hump first and then rationalize this system.
To elaborate on why I want to know that, there is not really a hard promise, but I'm trying to make things work as soon as possible related to the open sourcing initiative and making the RPMable pipeline working with Fedora Konflux. So I'm not sure whether I'm blocked. I'm going to experiment today, and I'll see what.
Okay.
I don't have plan B actually at this point in time, so I'm really nervous.
Pavel, if you're blocked, let us know, and we can accelerate whatever we need to do to get you working for a demo short term.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask what are you trying to prepare and get working? A demo to share in a blog post, or?
I'm just at this point in time I'm trying to make the pipeline work just to integrate the project, and since we are using GitLab.com, it's not that trivial. I seem to be obliged to provide some secret for accessing the source code and let Konflux open the merge request or something. I think I have to do it. I'm not sure. Actually, when I integrated previously with other Konflux, with other GitLab instances, it worked together with different Konflux instances. So, okay, completely different use case now, or similar use case with different instances, and it worked by default. So I'm curious how comes. Like I just mentioned that, hey, Konflux. Let me think. No, that was different. I used GitHub. Okay, I'm just curious how comes it was so fluent last time and it's not with the Fedora Konflux.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think we have also been looking what these service tokens should be there and so on. Maybe just go around to.
Yeah, so maybe I tried to achieve something and I was not successful, and somebody else fixed the problem for me,
Yep.
and I did not even know. It might be the reason.
There is if you're doing this via the UI, there's a bug in the Konflux UI that will require a workaround. If you ping along as you go, Pavel, in Matrix back and forth, and we'll share tips and tricks to try to get you unblocked.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Here's the bug I had in mind, which I hit when I was trying to onboard a GitLab.com repo to the Fedora instance. But even though this fix is merged, it's not rolled out to the Fedora instance yet because of this keycloak issue that's causing us to fail to deploy new instances.
Understood.
So, but there's a workaround there.
Okay, cool. Going to use that workaround then.
Anything else for discussion today? Okay, no. I'll see you guys in Matrix. Have a great day. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.